We are going to call the regular session of the July Newburgh School Board to order. We have a quorum. We have missing Ms. Melfield, Mr. Mason, and Mr. Brookshire. If you'll stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I did that.
You did it.
Almost everybody did.
You did good.
You get his train.
I've been practicing.
Have you?
Yeah, I wanted to do it just like you did.
Oh, that's even worse.
Ooh, look at that.
I know.
I haven't even turned mine on.
It's got your name on
I know. I hate to disturb it.
it. We have the agenda in front of you. If the agenda looks good, need a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Birdsong. Is there a second by Mr. Shushank? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries 4-0. No one has asked for a public comment, correct? Ready for our consent agenda? On the consent agenda would be two items: approval of the minutes from June and also the monthly financial statement, which is brand new. So all you see is 1 month. Basically.
Yeah, because we're starting now.
Starting July.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Guffey to accept this consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Birdsong. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries 4-0. Approval of the bills. Any questions on the bills?
Have you already asked your question?
Saw that you had your bills, then you had the additional ones that were put in a little bit later.
Mhm.
So you had two things to look at? Yes, I did. Had a couple. I was down here anyway.
Got a feeling you don't.
Any questions on the bills?
No.
Motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Birdsong, second, Mr. Shushank. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries 4-0. Administrative reports. Principals, and we saw in the packet that yes, you're just going to verbally tell us some things because you have been out, hopefully, for some of this month. Hopefully you haven't worked every single day in July. But maybe you have some. Hope you got a few days to sit by the pool or whatever you find to be better than that. Because there's got to be something better than that. But anyway. Who wants to go, Mr. Talent? You want to go first?
I'll just talk about me for a little bit.
Okay.
I attended the New Principals Conference in Columbia. It was the 3rd or 4th week of June. Then I also started my Missouri Leadership Development, MLDS. We had our first session July 12th. There at Rolla. They're right there beside the hospital, and started working on that with Charlie. And other than that, I've just been working with Mr. Clark on getting our student handbook updated, and went through hopefully with a fine-tooth comb. And I know
Yeah, trying to move in.
I know FFAs went to camp, and we've had that basketball camp also. So
How's the attendance for the basketball camp? Do you know?
I personally do not know.
How many kids went to?
I think for both teams, the girls did one weekend, and they were around, I think both teams were around 10, 11 kids that went to camp for summer. It was mostly varsity, I think. So they had a few JV show up to fill numbers, but I think the boys were 10 or 11 at their camp. So I think the girls were the same.
How many kids went to FFA camp?
Several.
Were there 15 of them?
I think
Oh,
so.
my.
Yeah.
Bunch.
Several.
Yeah. They went with.
They're back, right?
They were
Yes.
there the same time Waynesville and Dixon were there, and so they've been collaborating together. We had actually just gotten off the Pulaski County Fair the week before, all of us together, and so then they were gonna spend the whole next week together again. So
How'd your steer show go?
it was good. Our numbers were average. They the ones who were scared of the jackpot didn't come, and so that made up the jackpot made up for all those guys. So
Nice.
well.
Good. Mr. Clark?
Wrapped up summer school, got all of the lower elementary teachers enrolled in Pathways to Reading training coming up. We have the literacy grant conference is the week after next, so some teachers will be going to that, continue to work on our literacy plan. Otherwise, it's been pretty quiet, getting ready to get loud again, I guess.
Do we have certain days set up for enrollment?
For registration?
Yes.
Yes, they are August 10th and 11th, and we decided that they would both be K-12 days instead of elementary one day, high school the next. They're both going to be K-12. And I believe pre-K is the 12th, and that what we talked about today with Angela. We're going to
Try and get a lot of information updated Infinite Campus and get everybody current with all their stuff, so.
Good.
I'd like to possibly next month recognize there's Buffington, the Beatty kids. They went to nationals in
Mhm.
07. So,
Very nice.
yeah, I'm glad that she's actually slowly restoring that. And I think that once the kids see how much fun the kids that did go down there had and things like that, that our beta used to be huge. It used to be big, and I mean, it was
Oh, and they were
huge
good.
numbers. And
And I think they'll get back there.
I think, she needs to be recognized.
Yeah, so
I think that's a great idea.
Now, that's just one thing for her that stands out. She's done quite a bit this
Yeah.
year, so with yearbook and kind of redefining that, she's done a lot of good things. It's not that the rest of our staff hasn't, but
She's not afraid to work. Anything else, Mr. Clark?
No, sir.
Mr. Talent, anything? Okay. Any questions for the start of school, anything like that for them? Okay. Mr. Shaw, your turn.
Couple things that, since sent the packet out, I did get the response back from our insurance inspector, is not the right word, but from our write-up. So he gave us, there's a few things that we got to correct, but there was nothing major. So that was good. It was a good report. He was pleased, but I did get his final. I think at the time I sent you the packet, he had just given me his verbal report, but he did email me his written one with the details of what we need to do. So nothing too major. Had some, some of it as small as batteries and furniture removable from certain areas and things like that. So that's good. I was very pleased with that. And today, inspector came out to look at the houses, and he said his written report of the test results from any asbestos removal that we're going to have to take care of will be back this week. So
Just the one house? He just looked at the one house?
He looked at all three of them.
All three of them?
He looked at all three of them, yeah. So he was pretty sure that the other two wasn't, I guess.
Well, the
It'll
Burntons-
take me, yeah.
the
he said
Burntons not gonna have
He
anything.
can't, yeah. He said, and he looked at it when we went up there, and he looked, just kind of peeked in, and said, there's not much that I can, do with this one. So
we can burn the package too.
He checked all three of them, and he'll send a report on that.
There's nothing, on the back property, there's nothing in there. The only thing maybe would be on the shingle side,
Yeah,
but there's nothing.
it's just a wood structure. No.
Lather up.
Okay. Good.
Good.
Any questions for Mr. Shaw before school goes? We'll get to facilities here in just a second. We'll go into that.
No, that's most of my questions.
Okay. Why don't you give an update, Mr. Shaw, on where we are on our
Facilities?
facilities and getting offices rearranged and that kind of stuff?
We, floor in the new elementary office, floor is in, sheetrock's done, waiting on windows to go in there and move furniture in. That will be ready to go. Now, granted, some of those windows are the ones that we talked about for the security section there. And then for the new district office, same thing, we're waiting, doors are in, we're just waiting on windows and a little bit of electrical work and then we'll move furniture in there. I think electrician should be back Wednesday or Thursday this week to finish up. So heating and cooling's done in there.
Is that Chris doing that?
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Mr. Jordan?
his fellow.
Well,
Yeah,
his team.
Yep. And so he said they'd be back Wednesday or Thursday this week to finish that up. And then once we get, talking to Mr. Keen, and we cleaned out everything there in the front of the old central office, that countertop there, all that's cleaned out so that whenever he is ready to move in there to start framing the floor, the subfloor for the platform in there, he can start working in there anytime. So that office does have the new air conditioning units put in, new furnaces in.
I saw some sitting in that trailer
Yeah.
out there.
So
Old-
it'll actually.
The ones in the hall.
Yeah. So that'll have to be framed back in. It kind of sounds like a jet engine taking off right now,
Yes, it
doesn't it,
does.
in the office, but that'll be boxed in
Oh.
around that, yeah, and you won't. And so that will be the three offices.
So are we
for-
raising that up right there?
Yeah, to get to the window.
In that corner.
Yeah, right there in that
So
corner.
just that one spot?
Just in the corner there, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That,
6 inches?
Might be more than
It
that.
may have to be more than that, maybe, I don't think it would be over a foot, but.
So we're making 2 steps to it? or just-
Probably be 2 steps to it.
Yeah, chances are.
Are we gonna have
The,
to,
we had some guinea pigs that we had go over and see if they could see over the edge, and so that kind of gives us an idea where we, yeah, so, not gonna mention any names.
No,
but-
uh,
Did you guys have any questions on the offices? Or-
No, sir, I don't.
Okay.
pretty confident we can get into most of those by the time school starts?
Yes,
Or
sir.
by the time teachers get here, because that would be important.
The one that I think that high school office, they could be in there. Will it be complete? I don't know, you know,
Will it be
before
like-
teachers get here, but I think it will be
Like
before.
school
It's mostly
starts?
functional
Yeah,
though.
I mean,
yeah.
You're not
I
gonna be in
think-
it much with the teachers here anyhow, but
Right.
you start getting it going through, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the hope is still to get all of them,
That is.
By the
that is
time
still
school
the-
starts.
The
That's
hope
good.
and plan, yes, sir.
good. Ag building?
Ag building, they have started framing on the
Interior
on the
wall?
classroom, yeah, on the interior walls. They have tore out the existing block wall that was in there that had to come out.
Saw the bricks sitting outside.
And looks good. I mean, as far as, it looks good, the progress that's coming along. Now, we still would have, after framing, we gotta get the wiring and the plumbing done, and then have some drywallers come in. But Mr. Brookshire had talked to some guys that do drywall, and anticipated that going really quick with the crew that they had. So maybe 3 days to do the drywall once the, of course,
Once it's
that's when,
ready.
our plumbing and electrical is, done. So.
Is the same people that do the framing doing the electrical?
No.
So it's York doing the
But the frame,
electrical?
the same people who are doing the framing, I think are going to do the plumbing.
Okay.
But not the electrical.
York doing that?
That, yes, York.
I believe so.
The electrical.
So
think-
I'm gonna ask probably a stupid question, but why is it really taking so stinking long in that building? Why are we not done? I mean, I know that, I've heard this, but man, the community looks at it a lot differently than we do. We understand why some things are happening, but when people ask, I really, why is it taking so long? Was it materials? Was it people not wanting to work?
I think at one point, it was materials because the garage doors, for that part of the building, the garage doors.
But nothing else could have been going on?
Well, I think they were afraid to put anything on the inside because of theft. And so without
Oh,
being
okay.
able to secure the garage doors, they wanted it to be, be able to do that. And
So is
that
it gonna be done
held
in
up.
2 years?
As in,
Yes.
from now? Yes.
I think the
Yeah,
new
and then I
building
did-
is pretty much ready, is it
Yes,
not?
yeah, we
Ready to use, it needs to be wired, needs
Yeah.
equipment put in there.
But the wiring is, they've got the wiring dropped down the wall, but we gotta get the equipment in, and then they'll have to come back and wire up, you know, to
Okay.
the machines.
Is that something that we need to do, is move equipment in there?
Yes,
Okay.
I talked to, our salesman for Grizzly, and they had 2 more items that were still on back order, for our shipment. And then once it comes in, and they were thinking mid-August, they'd have the order complete.
Okay, is there things that we have in the bus barn we can be,
There are some things up there that we can move down.
because I'm glad to help,
Yeah.
so.
A lot of the things that are in the bus barn.
More
go
smaller?
in- Yeah, well, it's like the washer and dryer and things like, they go into the other portion. But there are some things that go into the shop part, you know, that.
I know there's an air compressor in there,
Yep.
and there's some
Some
welders.
welders,
there's
yeah.
there's a
Yep.
few saws,
Maybe a band
smaller
saw in
saws,
there,
but yeah.
But, we went and looked at it, Ms. Trainak, I went last week and checked, kind of looked and see. Once we get to that point where we say, let's move that equipment in, there's not a lot of things that we have to move to be able to start pulling that out.
Okay.
I was really worried that it was
Yeah,
gonna
no, it
be
shouldn't be
buried
too
in there,
bad,
but
yeah.
yeah, I think it's in a pretty good place.
Okay,
so.
awesome. I mean, just, I'll be glad to, whatever I can do to help move that along too, so.
Okay.
Anything else we've got going on, and construction wise, we talked about walling this in back here on the backside. Have we looked anything further to that?
Ray is working on a bid for that. He hasn't finished it yet. He wanted to get some material costs and things
Sure.
like that.
I think he was waiting on door prices, wasn't he?
And then we've got the bids for the doors and the bids for the intercom.
I think for they were waiting on bids for doors, because we were looking at the door upgrades. It all kind of ties together with the projects, and then I saw the roof bids for different things. I guess I have a question on that, and I kind of changed gears a little bit, but I thought we had a company come through and fix our roofs, and we were all done with that, from one end of the building to the other. But what you just gave us for bids is a lot of money
Yes.
to fix
and-
roofs.
And Carl said that there was a section in the annex building that they didn't do. They did the majority of it, but there was a section there that company didn't do when they were here before. And then I kind of, the way I understood it from Carl, it was between Miss Pierce's room and where Miss Strain is right
Mhm.
now. And then the other parts, of course, in that bid, there were other parts of the roof, just not that building.
Yeah,
And that's what,
okay, I was just
because that was
curious.
one thing too that we talked about was, didn't we already have that done? And then when we investigated and talked to
It
Carl, he
wasn't.
said it was just that section wasn't done.
That's odd.
Yeah, and I don't know the answer to why that wasn't.
We probably won't know the answer to that. Most likely. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on. We're ready for our action items. First action is our $38,000 minimum salary grant approval, however you want to call that. We've tabled that for the last couple of months because we were waiting for the governor to sign that particular bill, so we knew exactly that was going to go the way we thought it was going to go. And, he waited till the very last day to sign that. That's okay. It was his bill, but anyway. It's signed, so we're pretty comfortable with where we are. The parts that we were concerned about was career ladder, and whether or not that was actually true, and if those numbers were going to stay the same. Did you check in to see if that actually was right?
Yes, but now the career ladder portion of it had not been approved. I talked with our supervisor, and the 38,000 grant, that is approved, that's got the signature. Everyone says yes, that the career ladder is going to be, but it had not been yet. And he said that the guidance on that from DESI won't come out until the end of this month, regarding
But we have a backup if,
if,
anyway, right, with our incentive if it doesn't.
Yes,
We
yeah,
have that
yeah.
incentive, we can put it in place. If career ladder were to fall through, we can run back and put our incentive into place. That's correct, we could do that.
Which would be.
We were hoping because
Well, yeah.
that career ladder was a 60/40.
Right.
yeah,
With our incentive, it's a straight 100, so we would be a little bit over more, we'd spend a little more money by putting our incentive back into place, but probably not a significant amount. So
But
there is
yeah,
a
that would
plan
be
B.
the backup, that'd be a plan B if it did. There's nothing that would forecast that not going through, not being
Sure.
approved, but.
So-
Until it's signed, you know how that is, it's,
Yeah.
it's not official,
Well,
so.
Just, and you question why it wasn't signed.
Mhm.
Yeah, it makes you wonder.
Just leery, makes me leery.
The,
I don't quite understand, so anyway,
the catch is,
Never
we
could
really
have-
don't have much choice but to do, or what we were planning to do anyway.
I think so.
Hopefully the way drives out and we're fine, but, so are you asking us to do what we had talked about last meeting, that exact proposal? I think Dr.
13th
Catherine
check,
had.
which is under the
had
13th
proposed
check.
all that, and then
Yeah.
with all of the incentive monies and all of the money from the state replenishing whatever's and.
career ladder was in there, 38,000 difference was in there. The difference for the school professional hours,
Yeah.
academic hours for teachers professionally was in there. That's kind of what we all needed
Yeah, as
to
long as
make
there's no
sure.
changes to that proposal you had last
Pretty
month.
Yeah,
fair.
that's it, yeah, it'd be that.
Okay.
The one that's labeled 13th check.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So if everybody's good with the, going along with that 13th check proposal, we need a motion to accept that, which that would include, that would enable us to do the 38,000 minimum salary.
Mhm.
And that is all as long as, that we can continue to do that as long as that grant is available,
Yeah. Yeah, at that point, then we have to revisit it, yeah. So, I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Birdsong to accept the 13th check proposal for our 38,000 minimum salary. It's not a schedule, but it's a
Yeah.
adoption. We're still using our 32.4 as our schedule as far as salary schedule goes. This would just be the increase to get to the 38, but the incentives will go with it. Mr. Birdsong with the motion, Mr. Shushank with the second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries 4-0. One item that goes along with that 13th check that I think we as a board need to discuss just a little bit, and I don't know that we need a motion, but we do need to understand kind of what the procedure of that's going to be, is when that 13th check goes out. When do we send the 13th check? And for our bookkeeper, that is easiest done in June. So, and then she can run that payroll separate, pays for that amount. Everybody gets paid the same amount as they always do off the 32,400 salary for the year. And then the bonus of the difference is what that 13th check would be. I got that right?
That's correct.
Well, could you call somebody and say that he got that right? I'll give you the number. I'll give you the number. I'll give you the number to call. There's just one person. You got it. But
She's not gonna believe it.
she
though.
won't believe it. Maybe she's listening. But, so everybody good with that going out on the June? And that's kind of where we need to be. There's no in between. It's June. That's when you're gonna get that check. It won't be any time before that because of whatever circumstance. It will be June that comes out. Okay, so everybody good with that? No, we don't need a motion, I don't think, to do that.
Makes it easy for bookkeeping
Yes.
and tracking, and
Yeah, it's just,
and as long as our staff knows, hey, this is
Yeah.
it, then they can plan themselves accordingly.
okay, we move on to our second item, which it says approve, but we don't normally approve the handbook or the personnel book.
Kind of give it the old blessing.
We just need to look through it and see that we like it the way it is and give, if there's some things that need to be tweaked a little bit, we can give suggestions for tweaks. And that way, as the year moves along, if there needs to be changes made, it doesn't require us to vote on them. They can be made tomorrow afternoon by the administration, so, because that does happen. And have to wait a whole month sometimes for us to vote on it could hinder sometimes. Any questions about the student handbook or the personnel handbook? Did everybody have a chance to go through those?
Well, the one thing I'm gonna say is, like I told you and tell you guys, it's a guide. It truly is a guide to help you when it comes, but you are the guide. You're the guy that whenever when we hire you, we hired your upbringing, your morals, your everything. This is a guide. If you think it's okay for a student to cuss a teacher and only get ISS, I'm totally gonna rip you a new one. I'm just gonna tell you that. I'm just telling you, if you think that's okay, it's not. So, with that being said, there's nothing in here, it's kind of like interpreting the Bible or whatever, everybody's different. You can look through this book and use it as a guide, but you get to make that decision based on your beliefs. Am I right?
Yes.
Because, and that's the thing that we, philosophy on things like that. Eric and I had this discussion last year, and the one thing I always want to use as an example is whenever all we heard for a year was about how bad the vaping was down here. Vaping, everybody vaping, we can't get it controlled, can't get the vaping, how bad it was. And we put some serious teeth into that rule. I haven't heard anything about vaping, have you? Have you guys?
Not near the amount as before.
So what I'm saying is, that's my biggest thing, guys, is discipline. And I just, some of you guys have been on the board for a while, know how I feel about this handbook. And if it's not, it's a waste of time if we're not gonna, because I want my teachers, or our teachers, I want them supported. I want them, these kids are disrespectful or whatever, I want to hammer. Because they don't have that, they just don't get to do it, period. So, there, I said mine. Shut up, Doug.
I didn't say a word. I'm good. I don't disagree. Any questions on any of that? Were the times right as far as when when school was starting, when we were letting out? Were those correct?
7 whatever and 3:52 and
Something like that?
all that.
52?
The only question that I had was, is it clear enough when you say that a teacher's day ends when the buses leave and the students are gone for the day? Is that clear enough? Is that okay?
I thought it was when I read it. I thought, because if you have a teacher, if they park where they're supposed to, now that they're not going to be parking in front, they should be able to get around the buses in the first place. So they're not going to be able to leave unless you had a situation where you had a teacher that had a doctor's appointment that had to go
There's gonna be
immediately. Because I've had that
Yeah,
before, and
yeah.
I just would tell them to park right out front and go ahead, as long as they recover with their supervision and stuff, because you're going to have those situations. But I think the way it's set up now, with them not parking up there, that shouldn't be an issue, should it? I mean, once the buses are leave, then they could, because most teachers, the ones that want to get out of here in such a hurry, we probably want to get them out of here in a hurry too. Most of them, a lot of teachers stay a long time and do a lot of extra work.
In most cases, it's not a problem, but I was just asking if that's clear enough on when it's okay to leave. So if you guys feel as comfortable, then I'm good with it.
The one thing I do want to say, I really appreciated the lunch thing, and I saw it in there. That made me happy.
Lunch detentions.
No,
No.
DoorDash.
No.
Oh.
No DoorDash.
I was like,
That's what it's called.
Is it in there?
Don't you remember
Yeah.
last month?
No, yeah.
It was quite the discussion.
I was happy. I was going to kiss you then, Mr. Allen.
That's quite okay.
Your gratitude right now is more than enough. Just your smiling face.
Any
right.
questions on the handbook or personnel handbook.
I appreciate the time that you all put into it to kind of clarify and
Well, because
make
there's
sure
not,
where we need to
you
be.
can't get everything in here that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And what's important is that you go over that personnel handbook with all of them. I mean, go over the key points, then you get the rest of it.
And are we-
You gotta address the key points.
Are we planning on kind of doing the same thing with the student handbook? Maybe not the whole thing, but highlights of stuff, the first few days with students?
Yeah.
Okay, we had talked about that. Good.
I think staff will just read it at a certain hour of the day until they've read it cover to cover.
Okay. Sounds, whatever your plan, but I like it.
Just so it's read.
So most
everybody
people
knows.
can't
It
say,
covers you.
I don't have any idea what that says.
Yeah. What handbook?
We have a handbook?
Are we gonna stay with it online and not do are we ever gonna go back to paper ones? I mean, the handbook actual in your
Hand.
hand? I mean.
It's a lot of work. It's a
Yeah,
lot
we
of
didn't
money.
discuss it. We didn't
It's not
discuss
that
it.
much money. It really, it's not, I mean, you know, the Salem Publishing and stuff, it's not real expensive, but maybe I'm just old school. Whatever you think. I mean, kids, I don't know. My wife likes Kindle, I like a book, so.
I like the fact that we're gonna at least discuss it with them, and, I mean, that's a huge step in my part.
What do you think, Dad? You're old.
Well, we do have, thanks, we do have a signature page for everybody to turn in, correct? That they've read the handbook. I mean, all the parents would have to turn in that they've read the handbook, what their child.
And don't do it on registration day.
That's part of it. Yeah, don't do it then. I mean, that's part
Yeah,
of.
don't have everybody sign everything before they,
That is part of the check sheet, right?
just saying.
Yeah.
But it needs, I mean, it needs to be, if we have that, I'm not as,
Read it, sign it, turn it in or something.
I think it would be wise for us to have a limited number of copies. Because there are people like Steve and I that, I like the book in my hand. When I was doing principal, the book was in my hand. I had it in my hand. So
So
that,
by the time you've done as long as we did, it was here.
I know, but I still pull that book out.
Well, I
Make
have
sure
one from my first year as a board
I-
member that
I think that
I
it
still
would
look
be,
at it.
I
even
think
though I
it'd
know
be
what that
wise
is,
to
but-
print out a few.
Would you have one
100%.
for every staff member? Is that
Absolutely.
just one for every staff member? And then
That for
maybe-
sure. And then there'll be some parents that want
Yeah.
the actual book. There'll be a few. There'll be others that are younger than I am, that they're gonna read it online and they're gonna be fine. But there'll be a few that would like to have a hand copy, I think.
And I think the elementary art teacher has a thing that she could actually make these little books with a binder-like thing that just enough for,
Wait a second, you said elementary first. I was first thinking, I said I would help with the other things.
so. I'm just saying, I've seen it.
I don't teach
everywhere.
you to sit back
I don't
there and
think
not say
I don't
anything.
think it's ever been used. I just think it sits there.
Oh my gosh, that's what I use for my sketchbooks.
You're really gonna get beat up. after
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
She's gonna get you. Any questions on it? Everybody good? So, I mean, pretty much with that? And that's not that you're gonna have those printed now. There's probably I'm not sure you can get here by the first day of school, but you probably could too, because they can print those pretty quick. As long as we send that to the publisher, the way we want it to look on page, they can make it look like anything.
Yeah.
So,
And it's fairly quick.
they're pretty fast.
And we've talked between us, as we use it, kind of go through it and find some errors or some mistakes, just make notes. And
Sure.
instead of spending an entire day for two of us, each, as we find them, bring them to you guys, hey, what's your thoughts on this?
Sure.
And update it as we go.
Well, there'll be some of them that are simple and
Yep.
and
Yeah.
that you'll want to
Just
make
fix
that you'll want to make anyway.
Yeah.
And they'll just make them. If they're questionable or you don't know for sure, then might be the ones you want to bring. But
Yeah.
for the ones that you're going to find ones right off the bat and go, oh, we missed that. Fix that now.
Yeah.
So fix it, move on.
Okay.
And just make sure they're corrected as you fix them. Make sure it's corrected online so that the one online is as correct as possible all the time. So that it's right. So, anyway, okay. Item C, the bids for propane. You saw that we had one bid from Hose Propane.
Is that what we had? Is that who we had last year?
Mhm.
Okay.
And I think it was, better not talk, better look. I'm gonna say I remember, but that's pretty dangerous if I go to memory. Well, I wanted to get the price down. Yeah, I was right. Ooh, that's twice. Can you call it right 2 times?
Yeah, you just agreed
I
with
didn't say it out
yourself.
loud. I messed that up. didn't
You can't just say I'm right.
That's
and
what
then
I was
count it
shooting.
that way.
Okay, all right. We have one bid. This is from Pose Rural City Gas. I'd like to submit a bid for delivery of propane as stated below. The bid is for 1 year, starting with the date that we begin the contract. The annual pressure check will be completed by September 1st, no charge. The bid for a 12-month period beginning this year will be $1.97, which is 60, 70 cents more than it was last year. I think it was $1.29 last year.
Thereabouts, anyway.
So something like that, real close to that. And before that, it was 95.
It was less than $1.
So the last 2 years, we've gone double our price for propane.
It's pretty cheap for the propane I called on this week.
Well, I think the price is reasonable for what's out there, what's being offered right now. I agree. I'm not opposed to the price. I'm just saying, whoo,
Yeah.
what's happened to that? But
It was $2.35 for me at my house.
yeah, it's out there. So our bid is from Post for $1.97 for the coming school year. Is there a motion to accept the bid?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Birdsong, second by Mr. Shushank. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries 4-0.
They've treated us well in the past, so I'm okay.
They have. I mean, they're probably doing the best they can, honestly. Yeah. They're about 40 cents below what market is right now. And unbelievable, but there it is.
That'll give a teacher a discount.
They should.
Well, we were kind of asking, I don't know if we
I
ever
don't know, we
did.
never did ask them because they used to in the past if you.
Work here.
They would let the teachers have the same price as the school.
Yeah.
We should probably ask them
You
that.
should probably ask a good day that Mr. Pose would
Yeah.
find that day.
I want to talk to Patty.
Advantage Hospital. Okay, any questions on any of that? As you can see, our next scheduled meeting is for August 18th. In the past, we have just done the tax hearing just 15 or 20 minutes before our regular meeting. Our regular meeting is at 6:30 on the 18th. You want to do hearing at 6:15 or,
I will not be available that day,
okay?
so.
I will not, I don't know if I will either because, yeah, I will.
Which is no problem for me, just saying, it's good in case we're close on numbers already.
We are. Never know.
But I know
Can you be
there'll be
here?
no chance that I can be here that day.
Yeah, I'll be coming back from.
What's the
Springfield.
next day you can be here?
I can go, I just can't do that day. I'm on shift that day and.
Okay.
And we have already too many fellows off that day, so I just can't do that day.
When school start? 23rd is a,
Tuesday.
what's going on the 22nd?
I don't have anything for the
Did you
22nd.
get a junior high schedule?
I know, but
yet?
school starts the next
Did you
day.
get a junior high basketball schedule?
That's my
yet?
point. You know,
I'll tell you about that after the meeting.
I was trying to see if there was gonna be.
I'll tell you about that after the meeting, I see it.
how about the Thursday after that? What's the following
The
Thursday?
25th, is that too late?
Is that too late for
I mean,
you?
it's no different than now. If something comes up, I would just have to ask you to come in and, I just put it out in the packet so everybody would know, but
What's going on the 25th? Anything?
It's clear on mine.
I don't have anything written down.
And that gives us 2 days to get school started.
That gives your administrators that.
Couple days to
We
get-
always end up
How
in
does that
August.
Speak to teachers.
Does that fall, is there a certain day we have to have our tax hearing day? Because that may be,
we have to have that is due on,
I don't think there's a day, it's not like election.
I think it's due September 1st.
I was gonna say, I think it's,
I think as
I
long as we
honestly
have-
don't even know if it's September 1st. I honestly, I have to look at that, but I think it is September, but I don't think that it's the 1st.
Okay.
I think we're okay.
Yeah, I think, because I think it's, like Amy said, I think it's in September.
Yeah, we just have to do it in that August board meeting.
Anybody have any,
It's not like certifying elections, so you gotta be 14 days.
No, not on the exact date,
Steve, are you
no.
good for that day that you think?
25th.
25th?
Yes.
Dusty? Mr. Shaw? Gentlemen? Kyle? Amy?
I'm good. 6:15 tax.
I threw that out there.
I think that's fine.
Everybody good with that?
Is that good for you, Steve, to make that day all right?
And then we've got to get back to our normal third Thursday. So we'll make this change and we want to get back to our third Thursday. Okay?
Normally, it's not a problem for me, but it's.
Now, right now you have
that's the way I
nobody
feel.
on hand. You're just, everybody's on staff, everybody's with you. So that's fine. Good.
And it's prime fire season right now.
Yeah, we've been lucky
Okay.
for that. We're still running like crazy.
So do we need we don't need a motion for
No,
this?
we just need to set it.
Now, they gotta go back,
Overdose.
we gotta go back here and get this roof bid. But we haven't done
Yes,
that,
sir.
right? Well, let's go back and catch this roof bid. In your packet, we should have caught it up there at facilities, but we didn't. Is what Adam was talking about earlier about, we had some spots from when we had our roof worked on 2 years ago. One's over here at the annex that was missed completely. Then there was the guttering. You saw the piece, I mean, there's quite a few
Yeah.
pieces to the puzzle there. There's like 6 different things. The roof just for the annex, okay, that's simple. But then there's pieces to the puzzle that weren't ever accomplished. My concern is there that I'm almost certain we paid for the gutters at the bus stop. I couldn't find it. And I went back and looked through all the minutes, not minutes, but looked through all what was supposed to be, what was the scope of the project. Went back and looked through all of those. I couldn't find the gutters. So I really thought that we had done all the gutters and done all the, taking out the old nails or the old screws and putting in new screws. I thought we had done
Yeah,
that.
I know they did all that.
Not on this, not according to this bid.
Oh, they did?
Yeah,
There's several places on this bid that they've got.
Oh, I was thinking on the bus barn.
Well, yes, bus barn, yes. The bus
Yeah,
barn,
now
you're
this-
correct.
this
Bus
was
barn,
not-
all it is the gutter,
This was not,
the same company.
well, the screws are just for the evergreen roof this way. This is the way it was
Yes,
explained to me.
yes,
Yeah.
I agree. It's just for that way, but I
Yeah, I thought
Thought
that
we
was
had-
done too.
done all of that. Because I think I remember some gentleman saying, you have all your roads now covered for the next 10 years. In fact, I'm almost certain that was the statement said. And that's honestly either not true or something. So what's your pleasure as far as the roof bed? Do you want to continue? Do you want to wait? Do you want to- It's about 40 grand to total it all together. I wrote it down.
The only problem is when you wait on roof stuff, it just generally becomes more of
This
a
will,
problem.
it will become an issue. And there's no way that, yeah.
If we do the replacement, because the one here for, by
27,000.
Miss Peary's room and down to Miss Strain's room, that's a pretty major project. Is that gonna displace anyone from their room during the construction? Is that gonna cause a problem for any of that?
Not that I know of, but.
They made me leave the
While they
room
were up
when they
there.
were working on it, so, which I thought they were working on it over my room. Obviously, they were not, but I had to leave for like a week. I had to be somewhere else if they were up there.
Be a possibility there.
If that were the case, do we have the capability to move? Because moving you is not an easy deal for your stuff.
Well, you've got lots of
Yeah.
stuff. You
Sorry,
can't
that
just-
sounded bad.
You can't just put your stuff on a cart.
If I
and
know
move it.
ahead of time and it's not within two seconds, I could probably come up with something, especially with the little kids.
Sure.
But if it's for like 6 weeks,
It- Yeah. That would be, good luck with
That
that.
would be disruptive, wouldn't it?
Very disruptive.
So maybe we should look into that. I don't know. Is it something that we?
Any other bids?
This was the only one that I know about. I think for all of the work that, for the scope of all of that work, they did the only ones that felt comfortable with that.
What about, bridge? Or does that, what's his name?
That's the roof.
It's kind of surprising, we got, like you do roof stuff, Jamie Football does roof stuff, these
That's
local
what I'm
guys.
saying,
Huh?
that's why I'm asking why we only have one bid here.
I mean, you know, those guys,
But I mean, even if they broke down the squares and stuff, just to kind of see what ballpark we're in on this. You know what I mean?
To have something to compare to.
Yeah.
And I can make some phone calls and make some more contacts and see if we can.
I would like to, I mean, at least give our guys that are locals a chance to.
Not only that, but it maybe we can see that main project, probably bigger. What, are we gonna have to clear some classrooms and so we know, and then approximate time? I know the weather can affect that too, but approximate time of how
guess
long
my-
it went to be displaced.
So my question there comes, do we want to do the roofing project itself, just the roofing project, and get that finished and done, then bid out the rest of those little jobs? Or do you want to bid all of it out? Or get bids on all of it?
I was just wondering why we have other bids. I mean,
Okay, so let's just do
why,
some phone.
why would we go off one number when we could get?
We're not having any issues with that roof at the moment, correct?
There are some leaks, but, so,
Whatever.
we're at a time, that's what I was gonna say, we're at a time of year where we're probably gonna be pretty safe for
For
any damage, you
any
know?
leaks.
So, but yeah, we can do that, we can, get some more bids and then we'll just leave that open for a little bit longer, so.
Yeah,
Or if you tell me, I'm probably,
the Dillon?
Who's that?
last name, Bill?
For,
Or first name?
what are you looking for, Dusty?
Just, he said he called me about it, that's what I wondered. Like basketball, Ethan,
Play ball with who?
Ethan, Bagray, Bird.
Zigamine?
Yeah, because he asked me about it, and that's why I was bringing it up anyway.
Remember Dylan, don't you?
Yeah.
You know
He was one of the
He did
bigs on
call,
it, too.
it was, yeah, it was quite a while back, he did call me.
He's done well.
Apparently to them, they.
Apparently, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably.
Doug.
You probably, yeah.
Wake up.
Captain Obvious?
Well, you know, some days my office is not very good. Don't call her now. You're already down back to zero.
But he, I mean,
Just
just
wipe
to
yourself
get
out.
different numbers, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the other one in there too.
Yeah, we got the glass and the other
So,
thing.
Well, those
We
two,
weren't
those
responsible
two
for
for
that.
sure.
And I got,
Sidetrack.
Sidetrack.
See if they want to do.
got them all wrote down here, all those phones. Okay, so
So-
on the roofing, we'll just hold on it until we get a chance to make a few phone calls and see where we are for other ideas of what others might be able to bid that project for. We had other bids in there, we just about walked over and forgot, or I did. We had some doors for our new entries and different doors that we need to have replaced for security reasons. We had two different companies, I believe, come down and look at those and give us bids. We had St. Robert Glass and we had Miller Glass that came and walked through and gave, St. Robert gave us all these pictures. They were pretty cool to look through that. Really kind of like looking through that. Made sense when I saw the design, but anyway. Doors are high.
Oh my
In case you wanna
goodness.
Double doors with panic and with being able to be secured through your magnetic strips are extremely expensive, like $13,000 for a double set put in. And just so you know, I mean, that, woo! I
Yeah.
about thought, that's one door.
Yeah, one door.
That's one set of doors. Wow. And so we had about 8 different doors sets that they looked at, 7 or 8, something like that. So if I added correctly, Amy, check out my adding. But I added for St. Robert Glass, their bid was $88,047.55. So you got, whoo, there's one more on the line, right there. And Miller Glass was $99,309 for their bid. So, of those 2 bids, do they have a date of when they could get started and get completed? Did anybody
It all
check
depends
that?
on when the materials come in.
And that may
Yeah.
be one that's,
Maybe 3 years from now,
that might be a
Steve.
deal.
I don't think he was worried about it taking that long.
Okay.
Being,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Exactly.
Doug St. Robert has also previously worked with the guys that are gonna do all of our key fob blocks and everything.
Okay. Did they come in and run wire the other day?
I have not seen them in yet, but everything has been dropped off to them.
Okay. What's your thought on doors?
I don't think it's a thing that we can't not do. I mean,
I think
there's too many things going on in the world that we need to make sure that everything's the way it needs to be.
It's a cheap price for
Yes.
making sure we're as secure as we can be.
Yep.
I think it's an easy, It's an easy
I'll make a
decision.
motion that we go with St. Robert Door and move ahead with the project and get it going.
okay. Is there a second?
Or St. Robert
Second.
Glass, whatever it is.
Second by Mr. Shushank to accept the bid from St. Robert Glass for the doors bid for $88,047.55. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries 4-0. You also saw bids on there for intercom and redoing our bell system, all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of those were shocking, and then one of them, I had to look twice at the number, because it was vastly different than the others.
So,
Go ahead, Mr. Cole.
yeah, so one of them, it's a mostly wireless system. It's the cheapest bid. But they didn't come out and look at the building or anything. They just said, you know, for this product, this is what you'd be looking at. That was a bid that Mr. Peary got from online. The other 2 both came out and walked the building. One of them came back a second time. The Voice Connex, which their bid was $26,500, and then they estimated, they don't do the wiring, so they would subcontract that, and so he estimated that at $13,000. But that would create an entire district-wide intercom system. And I talked to him again last week. Pull up my notes. Couple different things. They had done St. Elizabeth. St. Elizabeth was really happy with it. Mr. Peary talked to them. All of the components come with a 1-year warranty. We would have the option to do a $950 annual service, and that would upgrade all of the components to a 3-year warranty. If we don't opt for the annual service, then we can still have 90 days of full support once it's installed to make sure everything's working. If we went with Voice Connex, then what they installed would be a complete infrastructure, which would allow for an upgrade to the phone system or anything like that at some point in the future.
So Visiplex did not come look at the building?
Correct. At TCS, I think it's a quality product, but see the price there.
Sure.
And the middle one, what was the total price for it? 30, was it 31 something?
Yeah, it's 26 and then 13,000.
Once you get all of it.
Okay, 33.
But the 13,000 is an estimate. They would then have subcontractors bid to do the wiring.
I think it's 13,000. I put that in the total, but
Yeah.
it's close to that.
Now, we also talked to Brian. You know, right now our intercom comes over the phone. And the biggest problem in the classrooms is it's just not loud enough. You know, Brian had talked about possibly being able to, you know, start with adding more speakers in the hallway, adding, what do you call them? Boosters that would make the hallway speakers louder.
That's not what he called them, but that's
Yeah.
what.
But
Intensify.
But in the classrooms, ultimately, you would have to install speakers, which means you would have to run all the wiring, which means that we would be back to doing something like this. It would be too much for Brian to do.
Sure.
That-
I think it's, yeah.
This would create an integrated system, district-wide. You can select which classrooms you want to intercom. It's talk-back technology, so we can part of the bid is to put push buttons in the elementary classroom, so a teacher can push the button and then talk to the office from their room. Any classroom, like if one of the offices calls Mrs. Jackson's classroom, Mrs. Jackson can just answer to the speaker and the office will hear it. So it's pretty high speed.
Mr. Clark, you said that the Connex one was the one that we had the school reference on. They were really pleased
Yes,
with it. Is
they
that
were
right?
from St. Elizabeth.
Sam. What's your thoughts on intercom systems?
I know what we have now is not good. I can tell you that. There's tons of kids that they're late for whatever they're supposed to be dismissed for, and they just don't hear or get the release over the intercom. You know, there's times that kids have been in the middle school area and not heard that they're okay to leave or whatever. So it makes it
And part of, I think, what as our district's grown, you know, and we've expanded, then the systems aren't all
Keep
tied
together.
together,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're almost, well, I think we're at that point where we need to just make it be the right way. So when I think we should have a little bit of funding left in our stuff to take care of this, no problem.
We need to take care of it all we can. Now's the time. And for 33,000, pretty simple.
For the whole school,
For that.
I think that's roughly, yeah, I think that's good. I'm okay with it myself. We think Dean?
I think you're awesome.
Thank you, buddy. Steve says I can make a motion that we go with what's the?
Visiplex.
Visiplex bid.
Voice
approximate-
Connect.
I'm sorry, I'm wrong. Voice Connect.
Voice Connect,
Voice Connect.
okay.
I'm wrong.
For
Voice
approximately
Connect.
$33,140.
That's $39,548. I was looking at the wrong one when I was talking.
I can't approve it now, you've given me the
I
wrong
messed it
number.
all up. So I'm back to zero.
You're not
Probably
gonna say
minus
you had
12.
3 in a row there.
I'm kinda at minus 12 now. 39,548.30.
Yeah, that's what I said.
That's close, because they're gonna bid out the wiring at some point.
13,000.
13 could change a little bit. Any questions, concerns, thoughts? Have a motion, is there a second? Second from Mr. Shushank to accept Voice Connects as our intercom system change for our district at a price of around $39,548.30. Any further discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries 4-0. Now I think we caught up. Mr. Brooks, huh?
Yeah, we kind of missed a few things.
We just missed that. I meant to get it at facilities and walk right back.
And I even talked about roofs and
Yes,
stuff right
we
there,
even,
too.
and I thought of it in my
I
mind.
was trying to
when
lead you
said it.
right into it.
You did, and I still missed it. No? Anything else we've missed? We haven't, I don't believe, I think we're caught up. Good. Questions for open? Now we need a motion to go into executive.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Guffey. Second, Mr. Shushank. Do roll call. Mr. Shushank, yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Guffey?
Yes.
Mr. Birdsong, yes. I'm yes. Well, good. All right. Thanks for coming. Good to see you. School's gonna start soon.
You need to stop
Go
saying-
team, right?
I'm sorry Steve was so mean to you.